Hello, everyone. It's a beautiful afternoon in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited. It's only 4 days to International Youth Day 2018. And I'm really excited to be facilitating today's live session as part of ONGE's Not My School Youth Day campaign. A little bit about myself. My name is Olaoluwa. I am a lawyer, a women deliver young leader, and founder of Girl Pride Circle Initiative, an NGO in Nigeria which advocates for girls' rights to education, equal opportunities, and violence-free communities. Through our after-school education clubs, we also educate girls about advocacy and equip them with the requisite leadership skills that they need to transform their communities. Today, I have a few minutes to share with you 3 lessons from one of our advocacy projects at Girl Pride Circle, and it's the Safe Kicks initiative, Adolescent Girls Against Sexual Violence. This project was funded by a Women Deliver seed grant, a Young Leader seed grant, and it was geared towards educating girls about sexual violence and equipping them with the skills that they need to confront sexual violence in their communities and to influence policy in their communities as well. We were able to mobilize up to 270 adolescent girls, and in the community where we worked, Ali Mosho community, the largest local government area in Lagos, Nigeria, these girls were able to, from the scratch, they were able to draft an unprecedented community action plan against sexual violence for the prevention of sexual violence in the community. And this action plan was adopted by the local government. It was endorsed by the local government, and it has now been distributed to up to 1,500 community and religious leaders. So I have 3 lessons which I sort of feel like every young person who is advocating against school-related gender-based violence and gender-based violence in general should know. The first lesson is setting clear advocacy goals. So I get it. These issues are so complex. School-related gender-based violence, any form of gender-based violence is really complex. There are so many issues to unpack, so many challenges, so many strategies you can choose from, but it helps to have a clear advocacy goal. What do I mean by a clear advocacy goal? Advocacy is about influencing decisions, influencing attitudes to issues in our society. And advocacy against sexual violence, school-related sexual violence, gender-based violence, can be approached from different levels. You can work on advocacy at the national level, at your community level, and even in a single school. In the course of implementing Safe Kicks initiative, what we did was to evaluate everything that the state and our country, Nigeria, had been doing with respect to sexual violence. And we narrowed it down to the community level because we believed that that was where efforts were lacking in sort of galvanizing efforts against sexual violence. And that was why we chose to draft a community action plan. Another issue was that girls were not being involved in the process of preventing sexual violence and speaking up against sexual violence. And so we decided, after seeing the data and the trends around advocacy against sexual violence, we decided that the community approach would be better. It's better to face a particular issue at a particular level, to have sort of clear goals in mind that you want to achieve. Especially because other young people might be already doing something and sort of galvanizing efforts around making a change in a particular area, and you don't want to duplicate efforts and resources in doing the same thing. And that takes me to the next lesson: building intergenerational and multi-stakeholder bridges. So apart from collaborating with other young people, you also need to be sure that you are involving other stakeholders in your community, in your school, anywhere around you, basically. So what happened was, at that time, we're starting to implement Safe Kicks initiative. We had never engaged with the government, even the local government in our community. And it was a little scary. It was a little scary because we were not sure what to expect. But luckily for us, we were able to leverage social media, particularly Facebook. The first meeting we secured with the local government sole administrator was done on Facebook, guys. So it's not really difficult. It can be challenging, but I mean, if you try to explore the various ways that you can get in touch with your government and with other stakeholders, it would help a lot. Our local government was very supportive of our project. They accompanied us to media advocacy visits on radio stations. They were also able to endorse the action plan and link us up with the community gatekeepers. And this is an advantage of building multi-stakeholder partnerships. Guys, you can't do this alone. It sounds nice to say that we want to change the world, but we actually do need help as young people, because older people, the adults, they have the resources, they have the networks that we can leverage on, and we can also learn from their mistakes. So building intergenerational and multi-stakeholder partnerships is really, really important. To the third lesson, before I wrap up, it's sustaining the momentum. So sometimes it can seem like your advocacy efforts are only making little changes. And that's okay. That's really okay, because advocacy is about resilience. It's about sustaining your efforts, building successes upon successes upon successes. And it's okay to celebrate your little waves of change while looking back to see what you can do better, how you can improve on your advocacy strategies, and how you can improve on setting more goals to meet the needs that you have identified in your community. So for instance, after drafting our community action plan, we still realized a need to disseminate the message around getting justice for sexual violence survivors. So the action plan was supposed to prevent sexual violence, but we still realized that those who had been sexually violated needed to have justice. And this is why we now embarked on a documentary production where we brought the voices of young sexual violence survivors to share their experience and give recommendations to the government. So this documentary is titled Echoes of Hope, and we've successfully reached over 11,000 people, getting the message out and helping people see that stigma doesn't make sense for sexual violence survivors, and we all need to join the fight in ensuring that sexual violence survivors get justice. So I'll quickly go over the 3 lessons I shared. The first is setting clear advocacy goals. The second is building multi-stakeholder and intergenerational bridges, partnerships, if you like to call it that. And then the third is building on the momentum, sustaining the momentum, never giving up, pressing forward for progress. So on that note, I would like to say thank you very much for listening. I've really enjoyed speaking about the little tips for youth-led advocacy that I learned. And I just want to say, as young people, the little waves of change you're making, the little work you're doing in your little corner is not so little after all. Your work makes a difference. Act like it does. So looking forward to International Youth Day. Thanks to Ongai for the opportunity, and I look forward to engaging more with other young people around the world. Bye.